I do that.
Just like it's far and then the amount of lights.
Ready to go?
The number of lights is
Okay, let's call to order the planning committee meeting for Tuesday, July 16th. It's 4 o'clock. Motion on the minutes, moved, seconded. All those in favor, contrary, carried. Our next meeting will be September the 4th, excuse me, at 4 o'clock in these very chambers. The first item on the agenda was an application for 114, 2327 BC limit for rezoning at 817175 Calder Road from a two-unit developing RD1 zone to a small-scale multi-unit housing developed RSM/1 zone, and Suzanne and Laurel. Laurel, I guess you're on. Oh, hang on.
Okay,
Yep, you're good. Your mic should be good.
okay. Staff do not have any additional comments, but we'll highlight a few points. This application was received prior to Bill 44 and the introduction of small-scale multi-unit housing. The proposed rezoning of the subject property from the existing two-unit dwellings RD1 zone to the small-scale multi-unit housing RSMM zone would create two new lots, each with vehicle access from Calder Road. The proposed rezoning and subdivision is consistent with the city's zoning bylaw and the applicable lot size policy. The applicant has indicated that their intent is to develop each new lot with a single-family building, each containing a one-bedroom unstratified secondary suite, consistent with the city's affordable housing strategy. Under the existing two-unit dwellings RD1 zone, the owner could rebuild a duplex. However, it would be their choice whether to construct a secondary suite. Consistent with Bill 44, under the proposed RSMM zone, there would also be the ability to construct a small-scale, multi-unit development on each lot, with the exception that at least one unit in each development must be a one-bedroom unstratified secondary suite. Staff has worked with the applicant to retain a significant chestnut tree along the southern property line, with the building envelope adjusted around it. Two mature city trees at the front of the site will also be retained by adjusting the proposed driveway and servicing connection locations. I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, there are a couple of questions. Carol?
Yeah, thank you so much for your report. So we had two letters, one from a lady who was concerned about the chestnuts, and she sends a picture. Has anyone been in touch with her to let her know that she can trim any branches that go over on her property?
Right, you're on.
Through the chair to Councillor Day, I have been in touch with the neighbor, as well as the applicant has reached out to her to discuss some future modifications to tree trimming, potentially including that the applicant's arborist may provide some services on site when they are conducting arborist services as part of the redevelopment.
Okay, that sounds good, because it does look like there's a lot of droppings in their patio. And then the other neighbor on the north side was concerned about the development, doesn't want them facing, like windows facing directly into their property. And she's asking for plans. When can she see those?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, I've been in touch with the neighbor and informed her that at this stage, we don't have building plans, given that the rezoning hasn't yet been approved. However, the applicant has reached out to the neighbor to the north and advised her that the proposal is for a single-family detached house, each with a secondary suite, and is willing to work with her and keep the conversation open so that when the plans are further refined, the applicant will provide them to her.
Okay, so we don't have to follow up. That's already in the works.
Correct.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Andy?
Thanks, and through the chair, I just want to follow up on what Councillor Day just mentioned in terms of the privacy. I think that is good that we're going to follow up on that as the process gets going and the plans are developed, because I think it's something that's going to come up more and more as we move through what Bill 44 does to the community. So I'm glad to hear that we're going to be addressing that in a way that works for people. So thank you.
Any other comments of committee?
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Yes, through the chair, if I may, to Councillor Hobbs. The applicant's also not currently proposing any second-story decks, which was one of the other concerns. And again, both myself and the applicant have informed the neighbor that no second-story decks are currently proposed.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, the recommendation is to be introduced first, second, third reading. It's moved, seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, contrary, carried. Thank you very much. Okay, the application by Hando Holdings Limited for rezoning at 12060 and 80 number 5 road from agriculture AG1 zone to a light industrial zone. And Suzanne, can't see that far. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, welcome. You're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff does not have any additional comments to provide, but will highlight a few points. The proposed rezoning from agricultural AG1 to light industrial IL zone is to facilitate the development of a two-story industrial building consistent with OCP designation. Vehicle access will be provided at the rear through the extension of the existing rear lane to Rice Mill Road. The site is currently vacant. One city tree and one on-site tree are proposed, 1 city tree and 6 on-site trees are proposed to be removed. An additional 5 off-site trees are also proposed to be removed as a result of the required city lane connection at the rear of the site. 4 replacement trees will be planted along the building frontage. The applicant proposes to incorporate sustainability and building energy efficiency features into the development, which include but are not limited to on-site level 2 EV charging, pre-ducting within the development for future rooftop solar infrastructure, and building construction to achieve a minimum 10% better energy efficiency use than base building code requirement. A servicing agreement is required prior to rezoning adoption for site servicing works, lane construction, and frontage improvements, which include the construction of an additional on-street parking, landscape boulevard, and 3-meter wide trail. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just one quick question for me. Does this company not own the properties adjacent to it?
To the chair, that is correct. This company owns
It's their
the,
own, yeah. It's
Properties
just
to
one
the
more
north.
piece of development that they were talking about. Okay. Any other comments? Motion and a move? Seconded? All those in favor? Contrary, carried. Thanks very much. Good job, Ashley. Good. Okay, item number 3. Application for a 109-6255 limited for rezoning at 12071 Second Avenue from Stevenson Commercial CS3 zone to the commercial mixed use of ZM28 on the Second Avenue Stevenson Village zone. Minnie Park and Suzanne. Okay, I don't have it written down on this, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have nothing to add to the report, but would like to provide a summary of the application. The purpose of this application is to rezone the subject site from the Stevenson Commercial Zone to a site-specific zone in order to allow development of a 3-story mixed-use building. The proposed building contains commercial space at grade and 6 residential units above. Vehicular access will be provided from the lane to the west. The subject site is located within the Stevenson Village Heritage Conservation Area, and it is currently vacant and does not contain an identified heritage resource. The proposed new zone allows for maximum density of 1.6 FAR, a maximum building height of 12 meters and 3 stories, parking reduction in accordance with the Stevenson area plan, and allowance of small car spaces up to 50%. Voluntary cash contribution will be provided to the Stevenson Village Heritage Conservation Grant Program for additional FAR over 1.2, and this amount is reduced by the cash in lieu contribution provided under the city's affordable housing strategy. A market rental cash in lieu contribution is also required prior to final adoption of the rezoning bylaw. The applicant has engaged a heritage consultant to undertake an archival research to understand the site's history and provide guidance on the proposed building design. The proposed building design is directly informed by the historic residential use of the subject site and Second Avenue, and the building facades are divided into smaller portions, and the building features the residential roof form, which emulates the roof form of the historic house. The building is proposed at zero lot line, which is consistent with the Steveston Area Plan guidelines. The Richmond Heritage Commission reviewed and endorsed the proposed rezoning application, provided that applicant giving consideration to comments made by the commission. And Richmond Heritage Commission's comments and further design refinements will be reviewed and addressed as part of the development permit application process. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, just hang on there. Carol?
Thank you very much. Looking at the picture on PLN 98, which shows this burgundy two-story building in front of a beige building, which is behind, how far back is that beige part set?
So the entry to the commercial units is approximately 5 feet away from the post, which is at the zero lot line.
No, that's not my question. This is a three-story building, but we're going to make it, try to look like a two-story building. So the front is going to be two-story,
yes.
and then the back, well, I mean, how far back is the three-story part? So at page 98, here, I got here.
Yes, so just take you to the conceptual plan. So on PLN 66, so
Yeah.
it's approximately 5 feet. So you can see the decks proposed on the,
Yeah.
third level.
That's not much of a setback. Is there a chance of getting it further set back?
It can be discussed with the applicant
Yeah,
through the development permit application.
Yeah, my concern is that it just looks like a box. And sure, it's painted a different color in the front than it is in the back, but it just looks like a square box. And we were a little surprised at how big the Roderick ended up being. Like, we expected it to be more kind of set back. And I know Harold and Steve's and I had a long talk about that one. And so I just wonder if we couldn't set it back a little further so that it's not right there. Like 5 feet is not much of a setback.
Okay, I guess if I may, maybe we should be asking staff, although we can't do it here, to talk about the lot sight line. That's the problem. Anyhow, Suzanne, go ahead. I'm going to, yeah.
Yes,
you probably
thanks.
have a better answer than I do.
No worries, no. Through the chair to Councillor Day, we will be further reviewing the design of the building through the development permit process, so we can take that feedback into account in reviewing that in terms of compliance with the Steveston area guidelines and what they're trying to achieve with the development.
So the building to the left is a flat front three-story, right? Like the blue one is just, it's all the way up and it's flat? Is that right?
So to the blue portion of the building through the chair to Councilor
It's a
Day.
neighboring property?
Yes, so there is a setback which is approximately 2.3 meters, so 7 feet
Okay.
to the blue portion.
For the entire building or just the top part?
The main floor,
Yeah,
from the sidewalk, property line.
okay.
But then the second floor projects into that area a little bit, so
Oh,
the
I see.
setback is approximately 1.6 meters
Right. Is
to
there,
the second and third
I
floors.
mean, can we make it a little less boxy? Like, it just seems like a shoebox.
Yes, through the chair, the design of the building will be further reviewed through the development permit, so we're happy to follow up on that comment.
So keep an eye on this one. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Alexa, there you go.
Thank you. So the entire building is the red and the blue portion that we're seeing. They were actually asked to build in this style because that's the style of Steveston, right? Like, it fits the heritage style, the boxiness, the facade,
Through the chair to,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, Councilor Liu, yes, that's correct. The proposed building design is consistent with the area plan DP guidelines as well as the Sakamoto guidelines, which call for a strong commercial frontage wall along the street.
Okay, so it is that sort of very flat
Yes.
front and, like, lots of curvature, that's not really fitting with the Steveston style, heritage style. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, if I may, the applicant did hire a heritage consultant to have a look at the design they were proposing and look at it in compliance with the Steveston area guidelines and the Sakamoto guidelines in order to come up with the design, so it has been tailored to the site, if you will.
Okay, so it's been tailored to the site, and it's really taken these features into consideration as much as possible. Okay. And to lower it down or to push it back anymore actually reduces the floor area ratio and reduces the amount of living space. So it might actually reduce the number of bedrooms you're getting for some of the units, would it not?
Through the chair, that's correct, potentially.
Okay,
We can still have a look through the development permit stage to see if there's a compromise.
okay. But we're still looking to try and get, like, I don't have a problem with this. I think this is fine, but I think we're also we're giving extra density so that we can get more people into Steveston, get them into the bars and restaurants and keep those places open. So I think this is a good step. It is going to have the flat wall down the south side, right? That doesn't have windows in it because presumably the next piece would come up. So that big flat wall might be one of those opportunities for us to have a mural on the side if they were amenable to that.
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, there is potential for that. There is actually an active development application to the south, which should be coming forward under a separate staff report in the
Okay,
near
well,
future.
never mind. We don't need to worry about dressing up the empty lot for the next couple of years then, if it's coming forward. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go to Michael. I guess my question in terms of design too, if we want to keep Steveston historical, then we need to remember what it was built like. We need the photograph of 1908. They're all boxy. That's what they were. They're plop. Okay, we've got that. Get it at the archives. Maybe circulate. I mean, if you want 2024 view, you can move Steveston out of the history. But I think that on page 98, as Councillor Day pointed out, that's what Steveston looked like. Except there weren't horses in the front. We had to put some horses in a stagecoach in front, and then we'll be able to go to Vancouver. I'm not being facetious. I'm being true in terms of what we like. We're getting, or at least I'm getting, a lot of comments about Steveston and historical. We're losing it. Okay, when we have 17 designated historical buildings only, and once we lose that, we haven't got any more Steveston. So anyhow, I'm going to go to Michael first on there. Have I got him? Michael,
Yep.
Are you there? Have I got
Yeah,
you?
thank you.
Yep,
Yeah, thank
okay,
you.
good.
Through the chair, just a quick one to staff. Normally, I'm familiar with the energy step code and zero carbon step code in the report, and it's in here on page 59, but it doesn't state what what level they plan to build at, and I just found that different. Could you explain why?
Go ahead.
Through the chair to Council Wolf, so this is a Part 3 building. So for residential unit, it shall comply with Step 4 with EL-1 or Step 3 with emission level 2. For commercial space, either Step 3 with EL-1 or Step 2 with EL-2. So that would be the requirement, and architect is aware of the requirement.
Oh, okay, great. So then, like it says in the development permit phase, it'll be determined one of those acceptable options. Okay. Just trying to put this in place with what was discussed last night at our GP meeting. Okay, thank you very much. That's all.
Okay, Andy.
Thanks, and through the chair. Well, thanks for the report. A couple things stand out that are positive, like the contributions to various funds, the Heritage Commission endorsing it. And also, I was surprised that there's no comments from the community, because Steveston usually is pretty vocal about things. So that's a good sign, I think, that there's no comments from the community. I also like the family-friendly aspect to the units being built. And I do understand that refinements to design will happen in the development permit process, so we can look forward to that. That's a pretty rigorous process, actually. The one question I'd have is just, can you just explain the roof access part of this and how it happened? Because that's an issue in Steveston too, so you just go over that briefly.
Do you want to take that? I can. Okay, yes, through your worship to Councillor Hobbs. For the 6 residential units that are included in the development, each has its own separate external access to access the rooftop. So we've seen a number of different configurations in Steveston, sometimes a collective common area with a common access. In this case, smaller units, and each has an individual access to the roof.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move the introduction for first, second, third reading. Seconder. All those in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you very much. And the next item is an application by Larco Investments Limited for rezoning, a zoning amendment to the light industrial IL zone at 3240 number 4 Road. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, your mic's live.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff do not have additional comments, but we'll like to highlight a few points. The proposed zoning text amendment to the light industrial zone is to permit a commercial storage facility with a maximum floor area ratio of 2 and to restrict the size of the residential security operator unit to a maximum area of 143.74 square meters. The zoning text amendment would facilitate the development of a new 4-story industrial building on the subject site comprising of commercial storage use, approximately 42,000 square meters, and the 2-bedroom residential security operator unit. The subject site is in the West Canby area, and it is designated for commercial/industrial use. In February of 2021, as part of the Industrial Land Intensification Initiative, Council adopted changes to the OCP and the zoning bylaw to encourage the intensification of industrial lands. Part of the objectives of the IOII allows for the consideration of increased density on industrial lands to support the development of multi-story industrial buildings. The subject property currently contains a commercial storage facility with an unoccupied residential security unit. The applicant is proposing to construct the proposed building in 2 phases and to demolish the existing commercial storage facility as construction proceeds. Vehicle access to the subject site will be provided via number 4 Road at the southwest end of the property. The proposed access is acceptable to the city's transportation department as well as the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure. There are 46 bylaw-sized trees on the subject site and 6 trees on neighboring properties. The applicant is proposing to remove 24 on-site trees. The OCP requires a 2-to-1 replacement ratio for the trees removed, therefore requiring a replacement of 48 trees. The applicant is proposing to plant a total of 103 trees on site, which exceeds the 2-to-1 replacement requirements. The applicant has indicated that the development will comply with the city's building bylaw and the BC Building Code energy requirements. The proposed sustainability features will include a high-performance building envelope and incorporation of on-site renewables, which will be further evaluated as part of the DP application and building permit process. Servicing and off-site improvements to support the proposed development were identified during the review process and will be reviewed further under the servicing agreement. I'll be happy to answer any questions as needed. Thank you.
Carol.
Thank you so much. So because there's going to be demo of part of it, there are going to be people who rent space there that would be displaced. And on page 18, it says incentives for these people that will be displaced include free rent and subsidized moving costs. Are they going to nail that down a little bit more? That's kind of vague.
Through the chair to Councillor Day, in terms of the specifics, we have not fully discussed that with the applicant. They have provided the options that they are going to be providing to the tenants.
So you have the options that they're offering.
Yes, they have provided through the chair to Councillor Day, yes, they have provided options that they would be providing to the tenants of the space.
Okay, when this comes to council next week, could we see a copy of that?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, we don't have a specific outline of their proposal. What the applicant has indicated to us to date is that they own a number of rental facilities throughout the Lower Mainland, and that they are happy to work with their existing customers to find suitable locations elsewhere in the area, as well as offering them some rent relaxations. The applicant is here today and can speak further to that if the committee so wishes.
I mean, whenever you're displacing someone who's renting, whether it's a storage space or a rental space, I think it's important to to, you know, take that into consideration. So yeah, I would just like to know what they're doing to help mitigate that for the people who are unfortunately displaced. Maybe some can move into other parts of the complex, but if it's like any other storage facility, it's probably pretty full. So.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Day, do you want the applicant to
Yes,
answer
please.
that? Okay. I should have asked the applicant up here, but it might be too early to answer that.
Good afternoon.
Come on up here. I got a better mic for you.
Thanks so much.
Not a problem. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. My name is Art Phillips. I'm Director of Development with Larco Investments. And with regards to the replacement of storage units, as the chair has indicated, as well as the planner, Larco owns a number of self-storage units. Maple Leaf Self-Storage is the name of the company. And what we have done, a most recent example, we had a project in the city of Burnaby, which was self-storage, and we have since converted to film studios. And during that process, we relocated all of the tenants, not just a portion, but all of the tenants. Excuse me. And we had no negative comments whatsoever. What we do, because at the moment, we're going through a rezoning process, then we'll be going through the development permit process, then we'll be going through the building permit process. So if we're lucky, we hope to initiate construction the end of 2025, early 2026. And it's at that time when or in advance of that time, we would then meet with the tenants and determine what their specific needs are. Because I'm sure, as you're well aware, when it comes to self-storage, yes, units are full, but there's a substantial fluctuation in the number of tenants that come and go. Some will last for a number of months, and we have tenants that lasted a long time, more than 15 years. So we have to work with the tenants at that time. It's premature at this time to give you an exact response, but I can say we've had success in doing so otherwise.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks very much. Okay. Second, all those in favor, contrary carried. Okay, that'll go forward on Monday, and thank you on that. Now, the next item is a rescinding of a third reading on Richmond Zone bylaw 8500 and the amendment 10464, so associated with the rezoning at 8911, 3151, and 91 Patterson Road. And the recommendation is to rescind it. And gentlemen, you're on, your mics are live.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have nothing more to add to the report, but I would like to provide some highlights. The subject rezoning application was exempted from the city's market rental housing policies as the application had met the in-stream provision endorsed by Council, provided that the associated rezoning bylaw was adopted within 1 year of the public hearing, that's July 17th, 2024. The applicant has advised that they are unable to meet this deadline due to matters outside their control, and that might take substantial time to resolve. Staff recommend the Council rescind third reading of rezoning bylaw 8500, amendment bylaw 10464, to clarify that the project can no longer proceed in accordance with the current rezoning considerations. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, hang on, Alexa.
Thank you, through the chair. So is this their request that we do this, or this is our request?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, we have had discussions with the applicant, and they have indicated that they would be unable to complete the considerations by the deadlines established by council when they had introduced the market rental policies approximately 2 years ago. So for those reasons, the applicant has advised us that they are unable to proceed at this time. The recommendation before committee and if endorsed to go to council next week is that rescinding of the bylaw occurs so that there is no confusion around the standards that will apply to the property going forward.
Okay, have they asked for an extension or no?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, the applicant is currently evaluating all options available to them as well. This property also happens to be now included in the transit-oriented areas, so they are doing some work on the subject property to determine exactly what they want to do moving forward.
So they're deciding if they can get a better deal. It's not that they've gotten hung up by anybody that we might know to slow this process down. And so this is a natural step in this. Okay, thanks. Because I know we did allow somebody else to have an extra month or 6 weeks or whatever else because it was turning out to be an extremely tight deadline. And so, and I know there's lots of things happened. Certainly for our staff, we've been busy with things like Bill 44 and that kind of stuff. So sometimes things don't happen like we thought they might have happened in the beginning, but they didn't ask for an extension is what you're saying.
Through the chair to Councilor Luke, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Carol?
Well, a lot of time from staff was spent on this to get the 163 units, including 27 Lemur units. It seems a waste to just, rescind it. Could we not just put it on a holding pattern? Is it possible? And you've spoken to the applicants that they could, sell the property and the plans to another developer that might be able to move forward.
Through the chair to Councilor Day, I'm not privy to the specific nature of the reason why the applicant is unable to move forward at this time. I understand it is related to a business concern respecting the property. I can't speak to their ability to be able to sell it off to somebody else in order to proceed with that. The recommendation before you today supports the past direction from council with respect to the market rental policies to provide that 1 year relief on the project. So we do see this as a good move moving forward.
Right, Mr. Craig wants to say something.
Mr. Craig, you're on. I think your mic's live. Oh, hang on here. Yes? It doesn't click? We better learn the technical. So if I click on that over there, it doesn't work. Okay. Wait.
It was probably me, Mr. Chair.
No, it wasn't you.
Through the chair to Councilor Day, in terms of the action before you, we are just recommending that the bylaw, third reading of the bylaw be rescinded. We are not recommending that the bylaw be abandoned. Rescinding third reading effectively means that the application is still on our books. It can be revised. However, it removes council's approval in principle in accordance with the rezoning considerations. So if we did not rescind third reading, they could turn around, sell the property to a third party. That third party would be under the impression they could proceed with the existing conditions, which are no longer valid. The matter that the developer is dealing with is a private legal matter. It's expected to take potentially a number of years to resolve.
Okay. A motion to rescind, moved, seconded. All those in favor, contrary, carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we've got a couple of managers' report. Now, Mr. Craig, I'm going to go straight to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a bit of an announcement, an introduction of sorts. I have appointed Josh Reese as the Director of Development, so Josh will be replacing myself in my former role. We look forward to working together to serve the committee and council as a whole.
Well done. Congrats. Okay, and we got a couple of managers' reports and updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, we're in the midst of consultation process concerning Bill 44 and the basically recent bylaw amendments that allow SHMU or small-scale multi-unit housing. The consultation has included a builder's breakfast, 4 open houses, and a Let's Talk Richmond survey. The builder's breakfast we held last week. We had over 100 small builders in attendance, so it was well received. That was followed up by 3 open houses that we've had so far in Steveston, Hamilton, and the South Arm Community Centers. And I can say that we've had almost 1,100 people in attendance for those open houses. It's been well attended. The 4th and last open house will be held tomorrow at the Thompson Community Center, and we expect a large turnout for that as well. Lastly, we also have a Let's Talk Richmond survey that went online starting July 9th and will continue until August 11th. The survey focuses on the council referral, which relates to density, building height, roof lines, setbacks, and parking. To date, there have been over 2,300 visitors to Let's Talk Richmond. Of those, we've had about 737 who visited multiple pages or downloaded a document, and so far 148 have participated in the survey. Like I say, this is until August 11th, so they have a few more weeks. Following next week's open house, staff will circulate a memo to council summarizing the metrics of the open houses and the builder's breakfast, along with a summary of feedback received so far, and a report will be forwarded to council in the fall on the Let's Talk Richmond survey results.
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Wolf. Wayne, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Chair. Just a quick question. I know you just mentioned you're going to give us a report on how the open houses are going. Is there any like really surprise or takeaway that you found so far? Because like even at this planning meeting today, one of the items on the agenda involved utilizing the new Bill 44. And then my second question is, two different people have said one thing they learned when they went to talk with staff is that if they're on a septic system, they're not hooked up to the city sewer, then that it doesn't apply to them. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I'll answer the second question. Yeah, that is correct. If they're not connected to septic, then they are not subject to Bill 44. However, if you wish to develop or add a single family house, you will connect and then you will be subject to Bill 44. So it's a bit of a catch-22. With respect to feedback so far, we've had a wide range of comments. I would say the first comment is really a lot of people are curious to understand the regulations, to understand, what's the potential. But then there's also questions about impacts to taxes, impacts to the neighborhood. So it's really wide ranging, but I would say curiosity is probably the key word so far.
Great, appreciate that. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, Michael? Okay, good. Okay, Alexa?
Thank you, and thanks for the update about the Bill 44, the heights, the FAR and massing. I'm wondering if we can also get you to comment on the parking, the driveway situation. So if we don't readjust the driveways according to the new designs, or unless we need to add that as a referral, but if we can just add that as a friendly. We've heard from a lot of builders that reconfiguring the driveways, especially on corner lots, like being able to come in from two different directions, does still make sense. Like I know in my neighborhood, it's not a very busy neighborhood, having two entrances where you can drive in, then you're not piling up on each other, you're not trying to move around, and then you're not also paving an entire drive aisle down, say, the back side of it. You just have two little entrances into whatever, what's the word I'm trying to say? Garages, and then grandma can still have her entrance, everyone still has an entrance. You don't have all the cars piled up in one place. You don't have a huge landing strip on your property, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I think it gives some opportunity. So if we can just look at the parking as well.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Liu, definitely we'll take that under advisement. One thing I neglected to mention is we'll be having a separate workshop with the small builders as well, so that we can really get into the nitty-gritty of the details and the regulations. So we'll definitely, I'm sure we'll be speaking about that as well.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, good. Andy, did you?
No, it's through the chair. Thanks that Alexa just asked that.
Okay. Anything else? We're good?
That's it for me.
Any other managers' reports? Okay, I guess.